Welcome back, everyone. Yes, we're on location again. And I have to confess, there are certain people that I love to check in with a couple of times a year because what they're doing in terms of benefits to the community, in terms of employment, in terms of protecting our security, and I'll tell you what I mean by that in a second. And one of the key players in our community is Mark Shaw, who runs StoreTech. I think I've known Mark now for better part, almost 10 years, I'm pretty sure.
Close to it.
It's been quite a voyage in those 10 years, Mark. It's absolutely amazing. How have you been?
Busy, really busy.
I bet you are.
Yeah, it's awesome.
As a matter of fact, you won't know this, but he's got to catch a plane right after this interview. You're out of here.
I'm out of here, yeah.
Hey, let's start with, I've got a lot of stuff I want to cover with you. But one of the things that caught my attention when I called Mark is that every once in a while in the technological world, in the IT world, you'll hear phrases. Well, I heard the phrase end of life. Now that means a certain thing to you and I, but to Mark and everybody here at StoreTech, it actually means something different, and it has to do with Windows 7. We got to start there.
Yeah, sure. Windows 7 is heading end of life. Server 2008 is heading end of life. And a lot of people are really concerned about that because what that means to you as a business consumer, even as a home user, is that means that Microsoft will not support the software anymore. And by not supporting it means there's no updates, there's no security patches. It could make you vulnerable to confidential or personal identifiable information.
Now I know that I'm a rough case, but I was looking at my XP and I was thinking to myself, I'm right on the cutting edge. And I think they stopped supporting that 5 years ago.
Yeah, so. Before the Windows 7 10, absolutely, yeah.
But Windows 7, which was highly regarded, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I know a lot of people have a Windows 7. This whole idea that it's an end of life means that the company will not support it anymore and whatever. Yeah. So it is really the time then to look forward and say, okay, what am I going to do? I need to upgrade, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's a big deal.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Most of our customers are already doing that right now.
Right.
If you haven't and you have a business, you should really consider that, putting in your budget at year end, right? Now's the time to figure out where that's going to look like. Microsoft put a deadline of January on this, so it's coming fast.
Boy, it is coming fast. Now, what are the options?
The major option is to replace, because a lot of times you already have old machines if you've bought them with Windows 7, especially in the business world, and upgrade. So you can either replace the machine or you can upgrade the machine. But we recommend you find your way to the Windows 10 world pretty quick.
And Windows 10, and of course, you're going to find out exactly what I don't know here. Windows 10 must be the current.
It is. It's a current supported operating system well into the 2020s. Yes.
Oh, good. Great. Jack, we're in good luck here. Now, let's just talk about security in general.
Sure.
It's been a pretty active year.
Yes.
In terms of, let's face it, when it comes to security, especially IT security, that there are some pretty clever people out there who are constantly changing and adapting to the security measures that you put in place to protect us.
Yeah, and actually it's not even complex anymore.
Wow.
So for as little as $1, you can buy a pack that will encrypt somebody or give them ransomware or spread malware. So it's become a very low technology and a very low cost barrier to become a real big pain for businesses.
Wow, so give me sort of an update in the last 6 months. What's been going on?
Yeah, a lot of ransomware. So that's where people come in, they encrypt all your files, and then they ask you to pay money to get them back. Okay. One of the biggest concerns that we have are they're not necessarily they try to breach businesses all the time, but now they're really trying to breach MSPs, managed service providers, people like ourselves. Because what do we have? We have access to a bunch of companies. So the security world is really changing where there's a heavy focus put on how well is your IT provider securing themselves, in essence, to secure you.
Right, sure. And one thing that we don't always realize, I was just talking to Mark about this, is that we all who own businesses have client data.
Oh, everybody does. Yeah,
it's hard for me to
And it might not be a whole
understand.
picture, right? But it could just be as simple as having an email address or having a phone number.
Yes.
All that could be relevant. They could pair that with other personal identifiable information, maybe from a different breach, and somehow find a way to get access to somebody's information.
Another thing that Mark had told me is that, I started to get phone calls, and I was getting like 10 calls a day. Microsoft was calling me.
Yeah, Microsoft wasn't calling you.
They would you said something to me that really stuck in my head. Yeah. They will never call you on the phone.
Microsoft is never going to call you on the phone.
Do you hear that? Never call you on the phone. So if you are like me, getting these 10 calls a day, and thank God, I finally called back because I thought this has to be serious if they're calling me so many times. And they started to ask me all this information, wanted access to my computer. I stopped this close and called you.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying they will never call you on the phone.
It's like saying the FBI is going to call you or the
Sure.
IRS. They're not. They're going to make a visit. The IRS is going to send you letters. You're not going to get these people calling you on the phone. Most of the time, it's a scam. Be very leery.
Mark, along the lines that we're talking here, the government's getting involved. I understand in March 2020, the SHIELD Act goes into effect. What is the SHIELD Act?
So the SHIELD Act, in essence, is government regulation trying to help companies put some framework around protecting your customer and your personal identifiable information. So the government's jumped in on this. They realize it's a big problem. One of the things that I'll clearly say to everybody is checking the box for government compliance, whether it's the SHIELD Act or from DFS, which is the Department of Financial Services, had their own set of regulations. Checking a box is saying you have solved regulations or met their requirements does not equal security. So even though you're checking a box and the government's happy with you, it's not going to necessarily stop you from being breached or stop you from having the right security method. So again, speak to somebody, whether it's your internal IT source, whether it's an outsourced IT, get involved, get engaged, and understand that this is a priority. Security is going to be a priority. It's going to be a priority for the government, and it's already a priority for consumers because they see that in terms of problems with their credit scores or people opening accounts. It's real and it's happening.
Boy, is it ever real. Now, just so that I understand a little bit more, what does the SHIELD Act mandate that we do?
So the SHIELD Act mandates that you maintain security protocols around customers' data. So if you collect email addresses or phone numbers or social security numbers, this is supposed to this is the first start of some framework around this. Over in Europe, they have a thing called GDPR. And that's a framework that they put in for regulations on how businesses should handle data. And every business is a little bit different. Every business has different data in which they collect,
You bet.
Which puts them at different levels. The Department of Financial Services can get involved in terms of things for like banks and insurance companies because they collect even more information. So the reality is it's going to mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, with the core understanding being you need to protect the data you collect from your clients, even if it's as simple as just email addresses and phone numbers or first name, last name.
Wow. What a world we're in, right?
It's changing rapidly.
Very, very differently. Let's go local for a
Sure.
second. Rumor has it you like hockey.
Yeah, a little bit. Twice a year, every year for about 5 years. How's
Yeah,
that?
I've got it. We had one in the fall, right?
We did.
Hockey night.
October.
And so that you can catch up to us here. StoreTech sponsors a night at hockey in Glens Falls every year. And it's twice a year, right?
Yes.
And we've got another one coming up.
We have another one coming up in February. Yeah,
Oh, great,
date
okay.
to be determined, but absolutely, we're coming up in February with another one, another 1,000 tickets, discounts on popcorn and soda, really a family event.
Terrific. How does somebody participate?
So they can email us here, info@storetech.com, but we'll typically send out invites. We'll put it on our Facebook page, our LinkedIn page, so we'll make a social event around that.
I've got it. Now, just so that you can sort of frame, I know that Mark does this to give back to the community, but when you talk about keeping our local economy strong, this is a company that's grown rapidly. I think the last time I checked in, it was 40 plus employees, and I know it's more than that now.
Yeah, we're right around 60 at this point, and probably 8 to 10 open positions.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, so we're still hiring.
We're in a low unemployment era here.
Yes.
It must be hard to find people. And I know you, so it isn't just somebody who might just have the technical skills. You look for a really well-rounded person, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have good technical skills, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're translating to customer delight, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the focus of the organization. So you have to have a good technical aptitude, but you also have to really be personable, right? You have to work with people on the phone. Nobody calls tech support to go, everything's going great. I just want to call and say hi, right? Every day is probably the worst day ever that they're having with their technology, and guess what? It's probably our fault.
I got news for you. It's not their fault, and I happen to be one of those people. I'll call Dan, and I'm like, it's the end of the world for me.
It is
right?
for everybody. It's personal, right? And it's immediate, and it impacts you getting through your day.
Oh, terrific. I just really love checking in with you. And congratulations on your growing success. He's hopping on a plane to go to Florida. He's got a major client down there. That all the work for that client gets done up here in our own community. And thanks for filling us in. I mean, we live in this world now that without companies like you and without guys like you, a lot of us are left out there, not knowing whether or not that phone call we're getting is actually from Microsoft on a very low level, right, to all of the very complicated hacking that goes on to break into companies' computers, primarily for ransom, which you can imagine you feel so personally violated. I don't care what size company you have. it really
Yeah.
hurts when that happens.
We have this story that we always tell about that kind of stuff happening. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting dynamic. If you think about it, if somebody breaks into your house
Right.
and they steal your goods, how your neighbors typically react with, compassion, right? Oh, I'm so sorry. What can we help you? Can we help you get a security system? They really have a sense of something really bad, right? The violation happened to you. But when it happens to your business, most people, their response is, oh, I don't know how they were that stupid and let that happen. I
Yeah,
can't believe they did.
right.
So it's damaging their reputation. So it's really funny how even in this case, we victim blame when someone gets a ransom attack or something happens against them, which is very different than how we treat it if somebody breaks in their house, even though it's really the same thing.
Boy, is it ever the same thing. Well, best to you, man.
Yeah,
Happy
thank you.
holidays to you, your family, to everybody
Yeah.
here.
Keep 'em
And it's
busy, as you can
great
see.
Great to check in. We got a 10th anniversary coming up in April, so guess what? We'll be back.
We'll see you then.
See this interview again. You can head to our website, looktvonline.com.